Hello, let's look at Normalisation Task 2. This is it, the health history report. And we can see unique visit ID is unique, and for one pet only, procedure number is unique, and is administered only once per visit. So that's the data we need from the question. We have to take it from to UNF and then up to free NF. So go ahead and pull the attributes out based on the question. It's already there at the top, so we just transferred it over. And from here, we'll identify the keys. So the candidate keys, visit ID, and procedure number is the ones we're telling us that are unique. And from the data, we can see that also pet ID is possibly unique. And a possible candidate key. And also procedure number, because it repeats, but uniquely. From there, we'll start putting the data over. So we're transferring it over to UNF. And to be UNF, it means every attribute, every record must have every attribute. So no missing data. So we'll just transfer some of these over just now. So that's us transferred them all over. And from there we are done with the question, really. Got all our data on our spreadsheet, which we're only using just for visualing. So from there, we'll bold our candidate keys. That'll give us some more room to work with. So from there, and we'll make sure that every record or row has every attribute or column. So this allows us to see the repeating data or the patterns of repeating data within it. So we can see that here we have Sam Cook and Rover, or visit ID 123. So that was UNF, and that's us now going to 1NF. So we just saw the rows of 1NF there, and that's us to look for repeating data to eliminate redundancies. So from there, we can start to look for a pattern. So we can see our visit ID. We know it's unique. So we can see we've got a block of repeating data there. Let's colour it so we can see it. We have a second block here of repeating data. And a third one. And a fourth. So with this repeating data, we can see it's the same attributes that repeat. So we can actually just take those out. When we extract those from the UNF, we've been told that visit ID is unique. So we can delete the redundant data. Because visit ID is going to be unique. It needs to actually be unique. So there's that in, and then we'll put visit ID as a primary key. So now we've identified the primary key. We can take that with the data that was left left back in the UNF and done repeating. And we can take that with the visit ID as the foreign key and the data was left to create a second entity, and that becomes a primary key foreign key with the procedure number. So we've got our procedure number becomes a PKS/FK, and visit ID itself becomes PKF. So both of those attributes together make the primary key for that second entity. And we have a link to our first entity. So this is second 2NF. Move on to 2NF, and that's where every attribute is dependent on the whole key. So with the first table, with the simple primary key, it means this is already 2NF and we don't need to worry about it. So we just move it down. 2NF and put it in. And at that point we've got an entity with two attributes that make up the primary key. So that's the ones we have to check. So are they dependent on the whole key? And in this one, because we're seeing repeating data within it, we can actually see that like rabies vaccination is actually dependent on procedure number and not on visit ID also. So it's not dependent on the whole key, it's only really dependent on procedure number. So we extract that into a new entity. We make procedure number a primary key because it's no longer a PKFK. That means procedure is now dependent on the key, and we extract this table out. So that's just two keys, so it's now dependent on the key. So first entity was dependent on the simple key. So now we'll go to 3NF. More transitive functional dependencies. And that's where a non-key attribute is made dependent on another non-key attribute. This entity only has two attributes and one's a key, so that's already 3NF. So we'll move it down. And this is just two keys, so already 3NF also. Move it down. So we'll just deal with that first entity. So our visit ID is the primary key. At this point, you're looking at the non-key attributes. So we've got visit date, so that is dependent on the visit ID because it's to do with the visit. The pet ID is also to do with the visit ID because it's the pet visiting. But the pet name is more dependent on the pet ID than the visit ID. There's more of a link there. It's a different data set or a different data topic is a way to think of it. So you've got a possible dependency there between pet ID and pet name. In that case, pet type is also a new data topic, so there's a link there. Same with age. And owner can be a strange one because it could be its own, but the pet is linked to the owner and we can see it. And we've got Terry Kim with Tweety Bird and Spot the dog. So the pet ID, the owner is linked to the pet ID also. So we'll go ahead, we'll put that, and because we've noticed this partial dependency, we're going to have to take it out. So we make a new entity with this section of dependency, and we move it down, and we make pet ID the primary key. So let me reformat this so we've got some space and it looks like the different separate entities. Pet ID is no longer a candidate key, now becomes a primary key. And we leave the pet ID with the visit date and visit ID as a foreign key. It doesn't make a primary key foreign key, a multi-attribute key. It's just a simple primary key, so that's already 3NF because it's now dependent on the key or the whole key and nothing but the key. The way to think of it. And our pet table is now dependent on the whole key and nothing but the key, and it's the other two already were. So we're now at 3NF. With there we can remove the redundant data because that's the whole point in normalisation. And let's go ahead and identify the relationships. So visit, primary key, foreign key is a relationship between those two entities. And pet ID to pet ID in the two entities is another relationship. And procedure number to procedure number is another relationship between these entities. From that, we can always remember that the primary key side is the one side, so we go ahead and highlight that. Primary key 1, too many. Primary key, foreign key, primary key 1, too many. And the same again. And that's us at our ER.